Welcome to the Kirkpatrick Podcast, bridging traditions and trends in learning and performance evaluation. Whether you're a seasoned learning professional or just starting out, join us as we dive into the Kirkpatrick model like never before. Through stories and insights, we are fusing time-honored methods with cutting-edge innovations to help you navigate the ever-evolving world of learning and performance evaluation. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. It's Vanessa and Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hello.
And we are so excited to be talking about on the Kirkpatrick Podcast, all about measurement, metrics, and analytics, all of the things, all of the numbers, all of the data. But we're going to be talking about how that's great to have, but that cannot be enough and the only thing. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Jim. So you are very big on this one thing. You cannot just send a 90-day survey to your managers and say, yep, level 3 is done. Which for me is one, that's easy. And two, that is easy data to then collect, right? That's measurement. There's metrics, there's analytics that you can pull behind that. But you're saying that's not enough. Tell me more about why that's not enough and how it is not enough to support the business performance.
I'd be glad to. It just gives me the shivers to know how much of that is going on and has been going on for decades. You know, the 90-day survey, or some think they're more sophisticated, the 60-day survey, you know. Well, a couple of things about it. Several main things. The first one is if you wait 90 or 60 or 30 days to measure level 3, which is the performance, which is the behavior of people, to what degree are they applying it? Human nature has already defeated you. Because if you wait that amount of time, when people have learned, they get excited in class, they know what they're supposed to do, they get to go back to class, to the workplace. Guess what happens to them? Guess what happens to you? If there's nothing that is going to inspire or compel or encourage you to apply it, human nature will take over and say, go back to what's comfortable, go back to what is familiar. And pretty soon, not just just the performance that you're expected to do, but even the learning that you had has just dissipated and fallen onto the floor, because human nature is going to take us back to what's familiar and comfortable. I don't care what country it's in. I don't care what kind of people we are. That is what's going to defeat it. So we got to quit kidding ourselves and thinking that that is a valid assessment. Now, the key word there that people will claim it's valid and reliable from an analytics point of view is that you get numbers. Well, I've worked with organizations, and what they hired me to do and hired Kirkpatrick Partners to do is come in and help us with our surveys. We're getting low response rate. Vanessa, I haven't talked to you about this before, but it's a very common. Help us with our response rate, especially after the training is over, in the workplace. We're getting 17% response rate from the participants and 8% response rate from their managers. How can we increase that? Well, first of all, guess those numbers, even though they're numbers, their metrics, their analytics are not even approaching valid, because they're a small percentage. And second of all, you're not going to like to hear this. Don't expect people to tell the truth on those surveys, okay?
Never.
Never. Well, go ahead. Never. You take that. Why never?
I think it's rare that you're going to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And what I find in those surveys is that they're really poorly designed, and they're leading questions. They're not truly getting to the root. And I always have a mistrust as to whether or not you know who I am when I take that survey. So, and there's two sides to this, right? There is I don't know if you actually know who I am. So if I actually say something that is maybe not kind or, critical of the organization or my manager or my employee, will they be able to see my name and all of that stuff? And, you've got the retaliation factor. And then also, flip side to that, if you really hate, if it is truly anonymous and you can, submit as many responses as you'd like, how do you know that someone is not bombing your survey and submitting false information over and over and over again to make the numbers look inflated or deflated? You know what I mean?
Wait a minute, Vanessa. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I heard you say provide false information. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, the thought of that just, you know what? If we ask the kind of questions, oh, to what degree have you applied what you learned? First of all, how general is that on a 1 to 5 scale? Oh, yes. Oh, I surely have. Most of them are lying to you. I'm just going to tell you that they're not bad people, but it's they, like you said, they don't want to be naysayers, and they also want to be positive, and they also know what you want them to answer, a 5 or a 4. I'm really doing it, or I'm sort of doing it. So you're not getting much truth. And here's the problem: people are making decisions based on those analytics. They're basically saying we're doing good at level 3. We got people are saying they're doing it. So, gee, let's just keep doing what we're doing. And there are other things you can do at level 3 that are still numbers, like rubrics, for instance. Those are numbers, right? They're metrics if people want metrics, but they are based on actual observation, which is much more valid and much more truthful when you have a rubric built well than asking someone's opinion and what they think you want. So, but I just get upset thinking about how many people are making decisions. In fact, a quick story is a guy from, in fact, several people from an organization that you would have heard of, so I won't use the name. They called me and said, Kirkpatrick, I knew I was in trouble, Vanessa, when they called me Kirkpatrick right away. They said, we did what you told us to do at level 3, and it's backfiring on us. Oh, really? Oh, remind me what I told you to do. Well, you said that we're supposed to send surveys out every 30 and 60, 90 days across the house to everybody and all their supervisors. Well, first of all, I didn't say that, but I decided that wasn't a good time to get defensive about it. I said, oh, okay. What makes you think it backfired? Well, we get low response rate, especially from supervisors, but they fill out a lot of comments like, leave me alone. And who are you to think that you can ask me anything? I don't even know who you are. You've never come and met us. And so, it doesn't even it's not even a neutral impact. It's a negative impact because you're just upsetting people on the other side because they've never gone over to that side to get to know them, to when they can say, oh, we've got a relationship. How about if we send you a couple of very brief surveys along the way? They'd say that's fine, but don't just be pushing buttons kind of thing. So for those reasons, that you brought it up, Vanessa, that 90-day survey at level 3, first of all, it's looking at single method. You can't get much truth out of single method. And second of all, it just upsets people if you haven't built the relationship. And third, sometimes the surveys are so long. But another one, Vanessa, here we go. We've got 7 million benchmarks on this question. That means it's valid. And they use that to sell it to people. Oh, we got more benchmarks than the other guys do. They're benchmarks that are inaccurate are no benchmarks at all.
Well, what I loved what you said is, and what I heard is, you have to earn the right to be in their inbox, right? You have to earn the right to interrupt their day in order to ask for feedback on how it's going. And a big thing that I heard at the federal executive forum that we were at with Qualtrics last week was, you get a low response rate also because you probably are not doing much with the information that you are receiving. And so that's where I think measurement also goes wrong, because you're pulling this information, and if it's not going well, it's often people don't do anything, about it. Or if someone specifically is having a true poor experience, we kind of look at that as like an outlier, like, oh, 3% of people disagreed, 25% of people, strongly disagree, that, the training was supportive. We just never follow up with them. right? Because 75, say a percent of 17% really isn't great, is saying that everything's working. So it has to be representative of the majority. I actually think there's more power in the silence.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So I think that there is something that we really have to think about when it comes to like measurement and metrics and analytics. And I would love to ask you this, Jim. Why do you think that there's such buzzwords and people are so like obsessed over metrics and numbers?
Well, I think, oh, this is going to be upsetting to some people. I think our learning industry is a very arrogant industry. I
I agree
think
with that.
some of our associations, the ones that fill the expo halls, are all saying learning this and, oh, chief learning officer, and I'm a learning professional, and we provide learning solutions and a learning journey. We have believed that for too long, and it's just not true. All those things are essential, but they're no way sufficient to get to performance, much less results. And we just got to get over ourselves and say, okay, we need to provide a learning, but we need to become more involved with the business, as you said before, in order to help create value. Because I'm telling you, senior leaders, business leaders see us as a cost center if we are learning professionals, and that's all. I'm not just trashing it. I'm just saying learning is important, but enough already become learning and performance professionals where you will be contributing value, not just taking time people to exit their jobs.
Now, you're not the only one with stories. I have them sometimes. I was chatting, you would love this, doing some interviews and focus groups for another customer I'm working with. And as the external consultant, they were quite honest with me. And one of the participants said, if you could just take this feedback back to the training team, remember that these people are humans. And that we really need to think about that as we're developing this onboarding experience. And so, and that really struck me because I do not believe this person would feel as comfortable saying that to someone else within the organization. But because I came in externally, they felt, and I built that trust with them also, right? They felt they had that safe space to be open and honest so that we could actually create change. And if that person thought that, or those people think that, how many more people also believe that?
Oh.
And so sometimes, I talk about personal brand from like a, personal perspective, but I do also believe there's a personal brand for your department, right? There is a brand and how you are seen, similar to what you're saying, right? The cost center and this and that, but even beyond the executives thinking that you're a cost center, what do the other individual contributors and frontline managers, what do they think about your department?
Yeah.
Because that is also very important. And if they're not seeing that you are really creating solutions that help them be better at their job, that's not really a great place to be.
Well put.
Yeah. And so I think what I would love to know more from you, Jim, too, is, are you saying that we should throw away quantitative data?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
No, but
I
we
held my
need
breath.
to.
I'm like, this could go
Oh, I paused it just
some
to mess with.
directions.
I just want to mess with you a little, Vanessa. But we can absolutely still use survey data, but not and testing data. A lot of times it's pre and post knowledge tests at level 2, surveys at 1 and 3. But to find other methods that gather more valid, more reliable, more useful data and numbers, such as the rubrics, such as trends and preferences that people are saying, and observations, and because somehow we just glommed onto that smile sheet at level 1, pre and post knowledge test at level 2, and 90-day survey at level 3. And I'll tell you, people are making billions of dollars on that. The vendors, that sell those. So they're coming up with good ways to say that will really help you. But I think the key there is that our model is not just about measuring, because Vanessa, I see it all the time. The Kirkpatrick evaluation model, the word measures all the time, measure all the time. And what they're saying is, what we want to do is we want to always measure something after the fact at any of the levels. But what we want to do is try to influence, right? That's the difference between Kirkpatrick and other evaluation models. They want to check to see what's happened, and we want to influence what's happening. And you brought it up earlier, particularly, at level 3. We want to make sure that the people are doing something, so that at 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, we can use an assessment using a variety of methods. We call it blended evaluation, including a survey to people. But also, we're going to be talking to people. We're going to be in focus groups, as Vanessa just said, and we're going to be using interviews and rubrics to get closer to reality than a mere test or a mere survey can provide.
Yeah. And I think, too, there is an opportunity to use the quantitative data as the springboard for how do I gather my qualitative data and what do I need to know a little bit more. And really looking at, so, for example, and what I was doing recently is I would look at, well, if based on your role and your tenure, how are you answering your questions? And that helped me create more of a personalized interview focus group and a personalized strategy, because I'm looking at, well, if you are, this many years in the organization in this role, this is the trend that we're seeing is how they are responding and how they're feeling about this program and where they need additional support. And so it really does, it helps you to become more human and helps you identify where the gaps are, but it can't be the only. And where I see people go wrong and where I always question numbers, like in award applications or on websites and all of that, is, again, you're saying 90% of the people loved the program, or 90% of the people, are seeing behavior change. But what we're not seeing is that little subset of but we only got 17, out of 17%. So we're taking it out of 100. I mean, 17 people. Yeah. So, I think that there is, if we're not being truthful about our numbers and where they're actually coming from, that's where I kind of, I get a little bit concerned.
One thing, I'm trying to sell ideas. Vanessa, same with you, right? We're not, here saying, oh, come to this, come to that, buy this, buy that. But one thing that I encourage you to do is, I look at surveys that are stock surveys, and so many of them are so poorly written. I think you mentioned that before. They're asking for judgment, which is why people are saying, I want to be anonymous. Watch out, your items are probably judgmental, where you're judging the performance of the instructor. Well, first of all, don't be judgmental. And second of all, it's not their job. They're in class. They're supposed to be learning something, not watching to see if the objectives are being met, or if the materials are well written, or if the instructor is ending break on time. That's not their job. And third of all, most of the items that I see, the people trying to fill them out, people just in the class from regular work, they're going to need one of you instructional designers or a learning professional to interpret what the items are even asking. I look at them, I don't even know what they're asking, but people will faithfully give it a 4 or give it a 5. So if you want some help with that and want to make sure your surveys are reliable as far as content, we're the people that can help with that, because there's so many out there that's just garbage in, garbage out.
Yes, that is a offering that we are working very closely to launching, announcing as like a Fix My Survey service offering. So
so I just announced, come to us, and it's not ready yet, huh?
No, it's ready. I just haven't, put the big you know me, I like to splash things up a little. I haven't put the
Okay.
graphic out there in the splash, but yes, we are working
Okay.
with organizations to fix their surveys because we do know that this information is important. Again, don't hear us say that data and analytics and metrics and measurements are bad. They are your foundation, and they can always be better. And, you know, once you get something that's really good, then you can use that to go and be more human, right? And to then become creative and innovative with the data that you're getting. And you're able to couple that with the qualitative measurements. And now you're able to see more of truly what is happening. And when you put those two things together, to go back to the story that I shared, right? Remind them that they're training humans. You will see how the human is truly working and if things are actually happening, right? And you can reach that human because you're pulling in, information and really seeing them in their environment and really providing them support. So I think that's definitely more of a blend. But yes, I'm very excited to be helping everyone with their surveys and offering this as a service. That's been needed, and I know people really want to make sure that they're doing right with their surveys. So,
One last thing, if I could say, is we,
course.
In just our teaching and our training and our webinars and stuff, we really focus more on measuring at level 3 and level 4 than we do 1 and 2. And we have some unique ways to do that, don't we? The data there, first of all, tells you more what's going on as far as ultimately creating impact. And second of all, guess who likes that data? Everyone says, oh, our senior leaders like data. Well, they don't like level 1, level 2 data. They like level 3, level 4 data. That's what they like. That's in their wheelhouse, both from a performance point of view and a strategic point of view. So we kind of, I think we got that pretty well figured out.
Yeah. Yes. And I will also very quickly share. I love what you said there. Business leaders don't care about level 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I often hear a disparity from the CEOs and the business leaders saying, my team needs to start giving me level 3 and level 4 data. And then I hear from, the individual contributors, the team members, I'm trying to do level, 3 and 4, but no one wants us to actually get there. And it's like, there's a huge disparity here, right? Between what they're saying and what you're saying. So let's help you, through the certification programs, identify how to measure levels 3 and 4. So that you can start small, pick a program, we'll walk you through it, right? And then you can start to provide what the senior leader wants. And then at that point, if there is an issue that they truly don't want that data, you'll know for a fact because you just provided it to them and you just build a really big, important skill set. So yes, we're plugging the certification programs, and I'll shamelessly also plug to come to the summit because we're going to be talking a lot about that and with a lot of business leaders as well.
Well said.
Awesome. Well, Jim, thank you so much for being here. So enlightening today. And I'm glad that, didn't get too much of the heebie-jeebies talking about measurements and data and analytics and all of that. But thank you again for being here. And friends, thank you for being here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.